I made $15,000 profit in one weekend sourcing this product. Let's get into it. So, if you guys don't know, or if I didn't say it in the title or the thumbnail already, I made $15,000 in one weekend sourcing chlorine tablets. Now, this product was extremely hot, extremely difficult to get, and was selling like no other. So, if you guys don't know about this, I'll give you a quick backstory. So, pretty much a manufacturing plant that made apparently like 80 to 90% of the nation's chlorine supply. That may be completely wrong, but they made a majority of the nation's chlorine supply burnt down, and it was no longer able to produce chlorine last summer. So for the whole summer, I'm sure if you guys have noticed, if you have chlorine pools, it was kind of difficult to get those tablets, those chlorine tablets. And one of the only companies who seemed to have a stockpile of those specific chlorine tablets was actually Clorox. And they were selling their buckets, their chlorine tablet buckets, through Costco. And they were selling for about 3 to 4 times. At the height, it was about 4 times the price of the retail price on Amazon. So it depended on the state, but they'd range between like $85 and $100. And they were reselling on Amazon between $300 and $400. Now, this had been going on for a while, and it was actually a few months until I even started selling it, just because I didn't really believe in the volume, and it was kept under wraps for a while. But as the summer came closer, the volume started to really pick up on these listings. And I knew being in New Jersey, I wasn't actually able to get any chlorine in New Jersey. So all of these buckets were being sold in Florida, Texas, and the West Coast, and then some random other spots in the Southeast. But pretty much they weren't in the Northeast for whatever reason. None of this SKU was being sold in the Northeast. So I had to get creative. I had to pack up. I had to go to Florida. And how I did this was by calling Costco's in Florida and figuring out when the truck from Clorox would get to the Costco distribution point and then would go to the stores. So there was 2 parts of the chlorine or the Costco supply chain. It goes from the manufacturer to the Costco depot and then to the stores. And this is just kind of this is like a side note, but this is kind of the stuff you have to do, especially in retail arbitrage, but also when these opportunities like chlorine come along, or patio heaters, or like wall hair clippers, like you have to get creative. Like you have to reach out to managers. You have to bother store employees. You have to figure out when this stuff is coming and where it's coming, because there might be one person at a store who's going to give you an answer, and they're going to give you that answer because they feel like it. And it may not, like they may tell you, oh, we don't know, but really they're looking at it on the screen. They know exactly when. So you got to keep calling, you got to keep trying, and you got to keep figuring out when and where this product's going to be. So long story short, I called a bunch of Costco's. I figured out that there was a shipment coming into the South Florida area on a certain day. I booked a trip to Florida. I took myself and my girlfriend at the time. We went to Florida. We hung out for like a week. The shipment got delayed. I believe it was like 3 days. And then eventually I got word that it was in the depot and it was going to the Costco's the next day. Now, there was about, I believe, 300 or so of these chlorine buckets in all of the Southeast Florida. So it was between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, there's about 300 or so buckets. And I knew, just being myself and my girlfriend at the time, weren't able to get all of those buckets ourselves. So I actually paid my friend and flew him down from New Jersey, flew him down to Florida. Shout out, Chris. You're a goat for that. He literally came within like 30 minutes notice. I called him. I was like, dude, you got to come down. I got an opportunity for you. You can make some money. Shout out to Chris for coming down. So he came down. I figured out which stores had it. I kept calling, just repeatedly calling to verify which stores were going to have the buckets in. And then once they did, we split up. We had 2 U-Haul trucks. Me and my girlfriend went together, and Christian took the other one. And we went to the different stores that I picked out in the area in the morning, and we just looped the stores until we could get all the buckets or until we got kicked out. So one of the main problems was you were actually limited to 3 per person. But the only people who were really enforcing this was the manager. So you would kind of have to like sneakily check out 3 buckets at a time, and the cashiers didn't really care, but it was the managers, once they kept seeing the same person looping 3 buckets of chlorine over and over, they eventually caught on, and eventually you'd get kicked out of the store. But at that point, we would get like 30 or 40 buckets, and each store had a supply of between, I think it was between like 50 and 60 buckets on a pallet, and we would get like 80% of that bucket, 80% of that supply. And we went as far as we knew certain stores we weren't going to be able to check out. And so we actually, I don't recommend this, by the way, but we actually hid chlorine throughout this one Costco and went back the next day and picked it up and got it, just because they were limiting us that day. And then obviously switching around like outfits, putting a hat on, taking a hat off, sweatshirt, no sweatshirt, and just trying to get creative with the ways to check out. Because like I said, this is an opportunity where you could literally make thousands upon thousands of dollars very quickly. And these are the kind of opportunities you hear about on Amazon that gets people enticed into doing it, because it truly is ridiculous sometimes. Like, we were really able to go in, get these chlorine buckets, and then they sold immediately. So all in all, at the time that we got them, the current selling price was around $300 per bucket, and we were able to get around 150 buckets. So all in all, we were able to get around 150 buckets of chlorine. So we roughly took about half the supply in South Florida. Now, truthfully, if we stayed longer, if we kept working longer, we probably could have got more. But again, these were like 40 or 50 pound buckets, and my friend and my girlfriend at the time were very, very tired of the heat and dealing with them. So we got about 150, and then we shrink wrapped them up on a pallet, and then I actually shipped them LTL back to New Jersey so I could fulfill them, because we weren't staying in Florida, and I had no way to fulfill them in Florida, merchant fulfilled. So I actually had to ship them back to New Jersey. So we shipped all 150 back to New Jersey. As soon as we got to the airport, I listed all 150, and then by the end of that night, when I got back to New Jersey, by the end of that night, they all sold. And then by then, I had the truck there, and we sent them all out. And that was it. We made around $15,000 in profit. Paid my friend, I believe, $1,500, and then other miscellaneous fees. It was around $2,000. So all in all, my take-home profit was around $11,000-12,000. But in total, the chlorine buckets made $15,000 just for a weekend's worth of work. Hard work, but good work. And it was a lot of fun. And it's the type of stuff that the Amazon opportunity can give you. Like, you could really make a third or a quarter of someone's salary in a weekend just by going and knowing these hot products and being in the industry and talking to people. The opportunity is crazy. So anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. Like, comment, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.